The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowerCat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Questions podcast, brought to you by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. We are happily sitting inside the WTC Gig-Powered Studios here in downtown Manhattan, Kansas. Tim Fitzgerald, Riley Gates, Zach Carlson. Your podcasting... You'd think I would think about this before I get into the sentence. Your podcasting Grammy Award-winning trio.
I thought you were trying to think of another word for trio.
I was, but then my brain isn't working today, which is very promising for a podcast. When
the podcast Triune, the podcast Trinity.
I thought you were looking for a P word.
I kind of like Trinity. It makes it sound holy.
The podcast Triad. They have trilogy as a trio synonym, but I don't think that's right.
The triad that is
triumvirate.
That's the word that I used it one day and he said, that's not that.
Oh.
And then I put it in the podcast.
Look at you.
Triumphant or whatever.
Triumvirate.
Oh, who cares? It's Fitz, Riley, and Zach. We're back. Hey, last week was our that edition of the Questions podcast in which we dealt with the fisticuff in the field house.
Fun.
TM. Was by far our most downloaded podcast since we joined the 24/7 Sports Network.
We beat Keats.
We beat Keats by around 1,000 downloads. That's how big it was.
And we should have had him on.
Should have brought him on. We should just double down. Do a podcast next week with Keats.
Didn't want to break the network.
The thing is I'm done talking about it, but you kind of have to keep talking about it. Like we did the Insiders podcast on Monday, and we hadn't talked about it. So we addressed it. Well, it was kind of nice because we hadn't addressed the suspensions, and that's what we got into.
Yeah.
This is the Questions podcast. You ask us questions at Wabash Station. It's part of the privileges of VIP membership to GoPowerCat.com. I know a lot of you aren't, and I understand that. Some people have financial inabilities, or you have a lot of other things that you get monthly charges for. I'm not asking you to give up your Netflix, but maybe your Sling. Does anyone really get Sling?
Never heard of anybody having it. I heard someone had it like for a month and it sucked.
I think it'd be fun to be a slinger.
You know, and they've gotten rid of those ad campaigns too.
Have they?
Yeah, I think they
I
turned
haven't
those
seen
off.
them as much.
Those were good ads. But
Those are ones back in like the mid-2000s where you'd find on YouTube that say banned from TV.
We love to sling.
You know, I think that might be one of those ad campaigns that was great, entertaining advertising that didn't sell anything.
Well, you got to have a real product.
So anyhow, I understand that, but go click the join button and just check out the specials. We always got kind of revolving specials going on, $1 a month, 30% off an annual. Whatever's out there, go click that and check it out. It's time you probably join. We're coming up on spring football. And I promise you this, I'm not saying we're negative, but we're honest about K-State sports. I mean, we're not rah-rah. We're going to give you the honest take out there. And really, we were just discussing this with the Chiefs. It's finding that is more and more difficult. Nobody from the Kansas City media is there probably writing a single bad thing about the Kansas City Chiefs. If you do, the fans will just run you out of the business right now. That's what social media has done. So, but anyhow, we know it doesn't please some of you. It's kind of funny. We were known as rah-rah when we weren't rah-rah, and people made fun of us. And then now that we're honest, people make fun of us for that. I think they're just haters, Riley.
I think people just want to be upset about things.
That is exactly the truth. That's where we're at as society, and I'm upset about it. Hold on.
I'm not upset.
Hold on.
I'm in a good mood today.
We're sponsored by The Fridge. In all seriousness, if you are a consumer of alcohol, and if you have a chance to get into The Fridge while you're in town, make sure you do it. It's really not like any other liquor stores. Maybe some of you highfalutin people from Johnson County have something like The Fridge, but I'm not sure you would have service like The Fridge. These people know their products, and they want to genuinely help you out. So get your shopping cart. Get your party ready to go for the Super Bowl, and fill that cart up with fun stuff, and I'll come over and drink it. That's your deal. The Fridge, at the corner of this and that in the town in which we live.
Doesn't sound like a great way to get people to buy things if you're just going to take it from them.
Well, I mean, then you have the collector's item. Yeah, this bottle of Pendleton Canadian whiskey right here, Fitz chugged it in my living room and threw up on my couch, and then signed it. But he was drunk, so you can't really read his signature. No, that's really his signature. The segment sponsored by Tanner's. I have considered going to Tanner's. And by the way, speaking of Pendleton, Tanner's right now has $5 Pendletons.
Ooh.
Man, if you haven't had Pendleton Canadian whiskey and you're a Crown guy, it's a whole different level. It's special.
Why are you staring at me?
I don't know. It's really, you need to try some Pendleton. Canadian whiskey, born of Prohibition and still delicious. Get into Tanner's. I don't know what they have planned for the Super Bowl. We discussed going down there. I don't think I will, just because I want to not be in public. I want to be able to yell and scream and curse and cry.
I mean, you could do that in public. It's going to be really loud.
It's emotional. I'm going to be an emotional wreck on Sunday. Tanner's.
We'll talk about the Super Bowl in the overtime on Friday.
Nice. We do have a strange podcast today. And I honestly, my theory here is we didn't get a ton of questions, is that people were in Kobe Bryant shock. And I've kind of noticed that. I've noticed Twitter's been slower the last day or so after all the Kobe stuff. People are just a little exhausted. Nothing really seems to, you don't have any witty things you want to put out. It's just, everyone's a little bit in shock. We're going to address Kobe Bryant in this podcast. I know it's about Kansas State, but I think it's a cross-section of America that affects all of us. They were actually questions maybe for the overtime, but I want to keep the overtime kind of fun and not somber. We'll do that in the second half of the podcast. We've got basketball up front, some football, and Kobe in the second half. And here we go. Your questions from Wabash Station from Mr. Zach Carlson.
From PowerCat Ryan, is there a real reason that Weber shouldn't play X at the 4? Is he really going to the NBA?
Look, I get that at the beginning of the season, Bruce said, he doesn't like playing the 4. He doesn't feel as comfortable there. I get it. If that's what your senior's telling you, it makes sense to an extent. But I'm also to the point where I'm like, look, I think that might be what's best for the team, is to slide him down to the 4. And if he's not comfortable there, if he doesn't like it, too bad. You're the player. You're the coach.
Yeah, no. I've never been on a team where it's a democracy. Or, Coach, I don't really feel like doing that.
Right.
I know you want me to get over there on this rotation, but it just doesn't work for me. Yeah, that's not how basketball or any sport works. Coach wants you to do something, you go do it. If it's blue collar, ask you to sacrifice your personal pride, then you go do it. That's what it's about, man.
I mean, I don't think it's not going to solve the issues. Like, we moved X to the 4, and now we're in the 4th place in the Big 12. Like, that's not going to happen. But I also think your continuity, your flow would be a lot better out there. It allows you to have Sloan and Carty on the floor at the same time. It allows you to maybe start Dejuan. It opens up a whole lot of more possibilities that I think you can run with.
I would certainly, whenever you take Montavious off the floor, I would do that.
Yeah.
I'd move X into that.
And look, if he's going to play in the NBA, a couple months of playing the 4 isn't going to derail that. I mean, he knows how to play basketball. He can adjust.
Well, let's be realistic here. Is him playing the 3 this season proving to the NBA anything?
No.
He still doesn't have the dribble penetration game or the one-on-one game that you would expect someone of his athleticism to have. I just don't think X is an NBA guy. Maybe I'm wrong. If he plays the NBA, it'll be because of his defense.
Wes wasn't an NBA guy.
That's exactly it. Wes went in there and said, I'm going to defend and rebound. I'm going to be blue collar. And Wes was very smart about it because he's still not an effective offensive player.
Someone will take him on his body and just kind of run with it.
I'm used to that. I'm very used to that.
Also from PowerCat Ryan, what is your ideal starting 5 for the rest of the season? Everyone healthy and off of suspension.
David at the 1.
Pearson,
James Love.
I love you, Pearson.
Nigel Shad.
We're going to go with the all-fight team. David at the 1. Dejuan at the 2.
Really? It's tough, man.
Now I just talked about playing X at the 4, but probably X at the 3.
Well, I do think you got to play. X has got to play both, not one or the other. He's got to play both.
The only reason I have one X at the 4 is if you want to start David and Carty and try to find a spot for David. Try to get all 3 of them and go really, really small.
I would keep Dejuan on the bench. I'd do Sloan and Carty. And then X, Montavious, and God, I don't know.
Look, Mac is not good, but is starting Antonio that much better?
Or Levi?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer at the 5.
I don't know.
I know I want Montavious at the 4. I know I want David Sloan at the 1. I know I want X at the 3. I think I can make an argument for Dejuan at the 2.
And Carty at the 2.
And Carty at the 2.
Right.
The only reason I want to play Mac at the 5 is because he's a senior. That's the only thing I can come up with.
Well, look, he's got elements to his game. I mean, he put up the world's worst double-double the other day. I mean, I can't believe that was a double-double because I was still like, half the time he's in the game, I'm going, what the hell are you doing, man? Catch the ball. Don't bring the ball down. Don't dribble the ball. Don't throw that ball back out and start a fast break for the other team. Don't do this. Don't do that. Hey, congratulations on the double-double. The guy baffles me. And he's such a good dude. That's why he just does everything Bruce wants him to do. Not well, but he listens. So I think he'll stay in the lineup. I
do too. If he hasn't been pulled by now, he's not going to go out.
If Antonio Gordon erupted into something, like consistently was hitting his 3-pointers, I can see him moving into the lineup.
Early season Antonio was a lot easier to argue for than now.
Yeah.
From ContraCat, do you believe there are already players that have been designated out but will not be publicly acknowledged until the end of the season?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that was a word. That's kind of a fun word.
Stole it from The Office.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do.
Something tells me James Love had a fun conversation the morning after KU.
Yeah, I don't think James knew before that fight that he was leaving, but he was leaving. And I think Nigel's leaving. I don't like getting into this, but I suspect Carty's leaving. I'm suspecting he will grad transfer because he redshirted and he will finish up his degree from what I'm told in the spring. I mean, if they're really recruiting 2 more guys, only 2 guys from...
I'll put it this way. I think it's irresponsible to not maybe have some conversations because you don't want to get to March and then the season's over and then in your end of season meetings you say, hey, might want to go find another school. You owe it to the kids to let them start that process kind of now. Hey, reach out to some people for me.
Well, let's back up. Let me cover the math again. They've got 4 newcomers on this team, and then the 5th with Casey. Can't remember his name.
Ezagu.
You're welcome. I'm going to keep doing that joke. Ezagu. Casey Ezagu. It's an easy name. I just can't remember it.
It's an easy name and looks horrible.
Yeah. So that's 5 newcomers on this roster right now. And they have signed 4 more guys for next year who are kicking ass. And Bruce said he wants 2 more. That's 11, and you only get 13 scholarships.
Oof.
From the best we can tell out of the player rotation, you have 3 guys that are juniors that one would expect to come back. Levi Stockard, Mike Don't Take the McGurl, and Carty Jada. So one of those guys is gone. If they really do sign 2 guys, one of those guys is gone.
It's just math.
I worked in the Tim McGraw joke.
That was really good.
Thank you.
From Jim Cat, do we have the lowest shooting percentage in the world from inside 2 feet?
Has to be. I don't know what it is. They don't keep that statistic anywhere, and I'm not going to go back and watch every single game. That take a lot of effort, Zach. Do they even keep shot charts anywhere?
In the book?
I mean, all right, let's play with the theory that I've tossed my game books when I'm done with the game.
All right, well. Sorry.
I'm not like Fritch. I don't have the game book from every game since 1991.
They are online, you know.
I did not know that. That's why I asked,
Yep.
Are they anywhere?
I don't know if they scan that in, but
The shot chart? That's a good point.
because it's a hand written. I don't know what to say.
Is it still done by hand?
Yeah, I mean, the last time I looked at a shot chart last year.
I feel like that's something that should be online by
Why
now.
don't you work on that?
An electronic shot chart?
Yeah, it can be your $1 million thing.
It's definitely been done. Like, it's a thing already. It's just a matter of are they using it or not.
Oh, hold on. Are we talking basketball or shots? Because I think a shot chart for drinking would be fantastic.
It's called bingo.
It's called a scrapbook on your 21st with a sash.
Look, I have a tablet. Like, not a computer tablet, like a 10 Commandments tablet. That's my shot book for my 21st.
I just drank. Anyways, yes, they're horrible from inside 2 feet. Well, who was it? Was it Carty that missed a wide open layup in that game?
He airballed it.
Yeah.
He airballed a layup.
Ugh.
What's amazing is the young guys are good at finishing at the rim. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Montavious.
Dejuan makes plays, man.
Oh, man.
He opened up that game with like 3 or 4 acrobatic moves at the goal. I was really
There's
impressed.
so much promise on this roster with the young guys. There just is. I mean, I've been pretty clear. I don't like bottoming out. I don't like having drastic rebuilding situations. I don't. I know you got to kind of have some ebbs and flows in talent, but it shouldn't just fall off the edge of the cliff basically once every 4 years. It just shouldn't. But anyhow, I just see so much promise in these newcomers. And I think David Sloan was one of the wisest recruiting moves that Bruce has done. And why do I say that is he's kind of helped stabilize the point this year. And then he'll be able to offer support and counseling for a very young point guard that's going to need to learn the ropes and be really good. I'm trying to think of the young man's name. Lynn Smith? another old fart can help me, that was on the roster when Steve Henson came in his freshman year. And that was his role. He played a lot, but that was his role.
That seemed to work out pretty well.
And it did. It really did. He was kind of the Alex Smith to Patrick Mahomes. This is your job this year. Get this guy ready.
From Files.
Files?
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope you asked some in the overtime so I can add your music.
You can add music. It's your podcast.
I don't want to do it here. No.
With our current freshman class and the foursome or hopefully fivesome coming in, how much pressure will be on Bruce to make the dance in 2021?
I think a lot, and I know that there's a lot of people out there on the boards that disagree with me because I gave this opinion a couple weeks ago on a podcast, but you don't. Yes, you can have rebuilding years. Yes, everybody understands the talent drops off, but that shortens your window to get back. You don't get your rebuild year and then 2 more years to slowly improve.
I'm going to take the other side of this. I don't think there will be pressure on him. In the real world, I don't think there will be pressure on him. There'll be people like us and other fans who think you should be rebuilding the house more quickly than you are. But it's been proven at K-State. It's okay. It's okay. You can burn it down, rebuild it at your own leisure. Just as long as that year 4, it's a payback. That's okay. No, I don't think there'll be pressure on him. There should be.
I'll apply pressure.
Yeah, we'll be saying, and a lot of it will be based on how this team finishes. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I just think next year's important. And I know you're young, but you're young because you screwed up recruiting before that. You don't get to create problems and then try to solve them. The solution's your reason why you get more time. I mean, that's a little bit crazy to me.
I might be setting a bar too high for these freshmen, incoming ones like Nigel and them. So maybe it's my fault to an extent, but I have higher expectations. Kid like Christian Brown right now at KU, he's a freshman, but he's not going through growing pains and struggles. He's playing basketball at a high level. I think these incoming recruits have proven at the high school level and at the AAU level that they can play at the high level at college basketball. So I do expect them to come in and play, maybe Davian Bradford. From what I've seen on film, maybe he's probably the guy that needs some developing time. But, I mean, you've got Selton Miguel out here beating Oak Hill at home and dropping over 20 points a game. And Nigel is blowing up the state of Indiana right now. I mean,
that seems dangerous.
Yeah, it's not great. I have high expectations because they're good players. And if they come in next year and struggle to figure out the system and they regress as players, I'm going to be disappointed.
From StatCat, will any of the current freshmen finish their careers at K-State top 10 all-time in any statistical category? If yes, which player and which statistical categories?
I'm not good at this.
It's tough. The only one I feel comfortable with is saying anything about Dejuan because Montavious and Antonio just haven't been. Look, to break a record, to set an all-time record even, anything like that, you got to be on the court a lot. How did Barry Brown get the all-time steal record? He played from day one, and he didn't stop playing. You can't just start as a mid-year sophomore and start to try to set a record. So you got to look at probably Dejuan, and it sounds lazy, but steals is the only one that comes to my mind. I don't think he's obviously not in a position to set an assist record or anything, and his shot right now isn't anywhere near to be a shooting record, so maybe steals.
I would agree with that. And he's embraced that from day one. Let me ask you this. Let's take it from this approach. Which of those 3 freshmen has the biggest upside in your book?
I want to say Montavious Murphy, but I haven't seen enough out of him, so I have to go with Dejuan.
I would say Antonio.
Really?
I think there's something in that kid that hasn't been demanded of him because of the level at which he played in high school and not playing a lot of AAU. I think there's a whole nother gear to that kid. that is going to be very special once he refines his game. And hopefully this is something the coaches are going to really hone in on. I think he's a 5 by just kind of an athletic 5 that you need to run up and down the court with. He shows an ability to be physical. He doesn't shy away from it. He's not strong enough to do it yet, but he's willing to do it. He can step out. He's got the ability to shoot the ball if he really works on it. I think there's something there about Antonio that is going to be really special. Now, that doesn't mean I don't believe Montavious or Dejuan are going to be good. I think the upside on all 3 of these kids is as high as they want to drive it. I really, truly believe that. I really, really believe that. We'll see what happens. Dejuan's just got to work on his offensive game.
Yeah.
His defense is special. I mean, I admire him so much for the way he's embraced that role. But he's really got to hone in on that shot and understand, how to finish. But it's getting there, man. It's all there. It just needs to be kind of all the colors need to be filled in right now.
From I Like Pickles Cat, I'm curious if your view of hanging Barry Brown's jersey from the rafters has changed now that there's a little bit of time separating his career and the present.
I haven't thought about it one bit.
Forgive me if I'm wrong here. I think I was always on the side of Barry Brown having his jersey retired one day. I was anti-Dean Wade.
That's the way I was, too.
So if you're referring to a podcast where I said differently and I'm forgetting, my apologies. But I've always been...
Or does he believe now that we're seeing other guys that Barry significant is waned a little bit in our eyes? To the question, I haven't thought about it. I've moved on to this group. I'm not sitting there going, oh, I miss Barry and Dean, and well, I don't miss Kamal.
So he means the drop-off of this year's team should back it more?
I don't know. I don't know what he's asking because we've always thought Barry should be in the rafters. But, I mean, that's why you wait 5 years. This is a perfect example of why you wait 5 years. If over the long haul, the big picture, there's guys from those Hartman teams that aren't in the rafters that probably should be by this standards.
Can I be critical of K-State in general for a little bit here? I'm not saying we need to start a ceremony for Barry tomorrow, but Murray State is hanging Ja Morant's jersey on Saturday.
That's fine.
Now, Ja Morant is a different type of player, obviously, and I don't criticize them for hanging it. But the fact that Ja Morant is getting his jersey hung by Murray State on Saturday, and Michael Beasley and Jacob Pullen and these guys haven't gotten it, and then the guys that you mentioned, those guys from back then that probably deserve that. I think K-State has gotten very lazy with getting to there was a stretch in there where we had jersey retirements going on every year. I remember coming to them as a kid. Those were happening all the time, and they haven't happened. When was the last person to get his jersey? Was probably, I don't even remember. I mean, it would have been pre-2012. Frank was still. Bruce has never been a coach for jersey retirement, I guess what I'm trying to say. So why isn't K-State getting around to this?
Why do you want to remind fans that at one time you were a national power and feared, and among the programs with the most NCAA appearances in the country? I mean, you were top 10 for a long, long time until the Wildridge and Asbury years hit. I mean, why bring that up? Why bring up those expectations? Seriously. Why make a new generation of fans go back and look at how great the program was? Because that's just not reasonable now. I do agree that I think they've gotten lazy with it, but I also think there's some reluctance here to kind of keep stirring up the past.
I really hope it's not that, but I think you might be right to an extent.
I don't know if it's conscious. I just think let's stay focused on now.
One of these days, not all these people are going to be with us anymore. And you're not going to get that. I get it. There will be posts, Jake has said how he wants specific things done for his. Take Jake out of the argument. Michael Beasley isn't doing anything. Call him up tomorrow. Get it going. I'd keep using them as examples because they're the ones that I can speak to.
I agree.
But there's no reason it shouldn't be up yet. Come on, get with it, K-State.
I don't want to say that there's this many people, but Barry's probably like 20th in line.
Yeah.
Like, he should not, as much as Barry deserves his jersey to be in the rafters, it shouldn't be up in there. It shouldn't be up there tomorrow because there's a lot of people.
Get some other guys in.
So there was a student government petition resolution to put Ed Nealy in the rafters. One, let me say this. I'm not, Ed probably belongs up there because he was a kind of a cornerstone piece to some great teams. My second thought is I hate it when government of any level, of any sort, gets involved in sports things. I just hate it. Unless it's really about a rights issue. I mean, the California thing turned out to be probably productive, but I'm still not a big fan of it. Don't use your government position for fandom. It just bugs me. Anyhow, so yeah, if Ed Nealy goes up, I mean, there's a lot of guys out there. Zach, you're right. 20th might be much, but there's probably 10 that
at least deserve hard conversations.
As time passes, you forget the guys that put up equitable numbers to what Barry did. Records are getting broken now by good players, great players, who are playing more games, a significant number of more games. When you consider when Lon Kruger played, you only played 3 seasons. Freshmen were not eligible back then, which is a still baffling rule to me. I mean, you had JV teams, your freshman teams that played. Yeah, so the numbers really don't mean a ton to me just because you're comparing apples and oranges, so to speak. I understand Jake's the all-time scoring leader. Mike Evans with the three-point line would have had a lot more points. And another season, probably. I can't remember. I don't think he was able to play as a freshman. Look, there's guys that belong in the rafters. And I wish there was a standing committee that constantly discussed this. There should be something every season. This should be something we do every season. Someone moves into the rafters because there's that kind of backlog. Put that all up in the rafters. I want young kids to walk in and say, "Who's Nealy?" And then someone can explain it to them. I want all of that up there. I don't want to just sit here on a podcast and talk about the rich tradition of K-State basketball and people just can go, "Well, that's a long time ago. It doesn't matter." It matters. It should be up in the rafters and honored. There should be a standalone banner for every Final Four team. Kansas State's been to 4 of them, but not in the last 50-plus years. It still counts. It still counts. I have a higher expectation for Kansas State basketball than most, I guess. This all changed in Pontiac, Michigan. This all changed in 1988 when Kansas made a deal with the devil and won a Final Four. That's my only explanation for how that team won, other than Danny Manning was special, but the rest of the team was kind of horse crap. I mean, K-State had beaten them during the regular season. They weren't good in the regular season, and all of a sudden they win a Final Four. They win a national championship. And the two programs diverged at that point. One went up, skyrocketed, right as ESPN became a big deal. And then now it's a god, according to ESPN. I think that could slip in the near future. But I don't want to forget what K-State basketball was and should be. I will push back on the argument that Kansas State can't compete among the great programs. There's no reason why you can't go out and get 9 guys that can be special and play at the high level. It's basketball. It's much more challenging in football when you got to put together this huge roster. It's basketball. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like what Bruce Weber's staff is doing in recruiting gives us some promise of it. But you also have to kind of push a little bit as a fandom. Just because life hasn't been going the way you want to doesn't mean that's who you are. You still can dream big and try to get to where you feel like you should be. End of speech. That's it for this half of the Power Cat podcast. What are we going to talk about? We got football. We got
Hodgepodge of things.
Kobe.
It's all coming up here on the second half of the Power Cat Questions podcast, sponsored by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Tip of the hat to our friends at Tanner's. Get down to Tanner's. If you're in Manhattan on Sunday and don't know what you want to do, just go to Tanner's. Get there early. Buy a bucket of Truly. Be a real man.
Stay locked in. The Power Cat podcast will be right back.
Selling a little or a lot? Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage, to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's here to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 15% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. And Shopify is the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning 24/7 help is there to support your success every step of the way. Because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/Odyssey Podcast. Diets and workouts, you've done the work, so why can't you get to your goal weight? That's because up to 70% of your weight is predetermined by your genetics. So while you've been told that it's all about your willpower, you're actually fighting your biology. Don't do it alone. Found's Doctor Design program uses medication as part of a treatment plan that targets your body's unique biological needs, so that your body works with you and not against you. Take the quiz at joinfound.com to see if Found's weight loss program is right for you.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios.
Welcome back to the Power Cat Questions podcast from the WTC Gig-Powered Studios in beautiful downtown Manhattan. I kind of miss Aggieville, but I like downtown. I feel like I grew up.
I just miss having
being able to walk out the front door and eat great
well,
food.
that, but also it just was more, and it's not like people came into our office, but like interaction, you know? You just walked in, hey, need to go to the gas station or whatever. And you walk by a bunch of buildings and people, and you know, and there's a gas station right here, but there's not people that you interact with.
You know, that was the biggest thing, and it's hard for people to understand this. When you're in a business district for 16 years plus, which was what we were in Aggieville, that's not just a bunch of bars. I mean, that's just not places you go. You become friends with your fellow business owners. You know, I mean, we were really tight with Ryan Bramhall at Tubby's. We had a great relationship. They were our neighbor. They were wonderful neighbors. You know, of course, Rob and Jay, Julie and Randy, all the owners at So Long and Taco Lucha. And then Tanner's moved in and we became close with Jeremy and now Charlie. Austin and Megan down at Wahoo. It's your family. It's your fraternity. It's your people. You all in the business district. We're kind of on the fringe of downtown. If we were on points, maybe it'd feel a little bit different. But really the downtown restaurants, for the most part, are more night restaurants. You know, Wine Dive and Bourbon and Baker and those places. And the chef is lunch and breakfast. But anyhow, we kind of miss Aggieville, but also these offices are badass.
My weight doesn't miss Aggieville, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I would be eating so much high-low and stuff if I
had a lot of So Long burgers.
Ugh.
We'd have more trade that we'd use. I feel like our wallets wouldn't hurt.
But we would also go through it quicker than we do.
That's true.
Yeah, I think Tanner's is happy we moved out. Because now
Happy
every time
you moved out.
And now every time I go in there and they're like, "Hey, want to use your trade? Because you're really behind on it."
Fine, I will go to Tanner's and pick up the tab a few times.
This is the Power Cat Questions podcast. You ask, we answer. We're sponsored by the Fridge Wholesale Liquor that provides alcohol from most of the bars and restaurants around Manhattan. If they're good enough for the places that do it for a living, they're good enough for you. Get into the fridge and check out everything there, and they'll be able to answer all your questions. I wonder if they have a seltzer expert nowadays. Hello, I'm Chad, the seltzer expert. Welcome.
Make fun of it all you want.
It's a big deal.
I don't think a Chad is going to be sounding like that one. Two, going to be in charge of seltzers.
I'm in charge of seltzers. I asked Jeremy.
He can make fun of it all he wants. I'm still
Deets.
going to drink them.
I'm about ready to try. True Confessions.
They're light. They're easy drinking.
I just don't like seltzer. Like seltzer water, I don't enjoy that. I don't know. Anyhow, I asked Jeremy Deets, the former general manager of Tanner's, I don't know, 3 years ago, what's next in the seltzers? Seltzers. Man, they've blown up into something huge.
I'm so interested to see the lake this summer because they were just becoming a thing in like late July, like really popular, like late July last year.
I got to admit that I make fun of it, but I kind of admire your generation. My generation wouldn't have been drinking White Claws. Zima's got made fun of, that kind of product. You guys don't give a crap about that.
I mean, I think you still get made fun of. And I'm not saying that, like, if you offered me a beer or a seltzer, I'm always going to pick the seltzer. But it's also nice to not – it's nice to be able to sit there and have some seltzers and not feel like I just put on 10 pounds.
That's exactly it. I'm not a huge beer drinker because of that. They just kind of add up on me. So.
I definitely get made fun of for it still. Like –
But half of it it's memes and jokes.
Yeah.
It's not.
Well, and then it's people sliding up on your Snapchat that think like, oh, well, if you don't slam 10 Bud Lights in one night, then you're not a man.
Well,
okay.
Yeah, I could say that doesn't make you a man either.
Yeah. I only drink Bud Heavies.
Ain't no laws on the claw.
I like that your generation can be whatever you want to be. You can identify as a wuss and drink the kind of drink all you want to, and it's fine.
I can drink a seltzer while I watch The Bachelor, and I don't care what you think about me.
We need to talk about The Bachelor, but I'm a little worried about it. I think Scott Chasen and I are going to have an intervention with you.
No. See, Scott Chasen likes The Bachelor. He was tweeting me to stop tweeting about it because he was covering a game last night.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. That was not what you thought it was.
Okay. Anyhow,
that was a wild episode last night.
Just look up Reality Steve and hold that over Riley's head for the next month and a half.
Is that like a guy that talks about The Bachelor?
He spoils it every year.
He investigates and finds out who.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
If you do that, I'm going to kill you. I'm not going to be
really
happy.
Incredible.
Don't do it to me, please.
Well,
I'm serious.
I can't because my marriage would fall apart if I knew who. There's an addiction in my house with The Bachelor. We're sponsored this half by the High-Low. I think maybe you want to batten down the hatches there at the High-Low. You won't hear this in time, but I think we're coming for lunch. Yeep. If we ever get done with these podcasts. We miss you, High-Low. We love you, High-Low. Stop in and say hello. Let's get going now with your questions from Wabash Station as we delve into topics that are different, including Kobe Bryant.
From KSU number 1, CBS Sports ranks K-State football as a team that can make some noise in 2020. How confident are you in this new season?
I guess to clarify, and I don't know if everybody's read the article, it was 6 teams that can sneak into the top 25 in 2020 from Dennis Dodd, I believe.
So that's making noise is like
potentially being ranked.
Hey, can we come
guys.
to the party?
Not they're going to be in the college football playoff hunt. I'm optimistic. Because I wasn't optimistic this year, and we all know what happened. But I have my reservations about the departures. I have my reservations about the games that bounced their way that easily could have bounced the other team's way. So, yeah, I mean, I think they return a lot of good pieces. I think that they have good coaches that can coach up the talent past what maybe we think it is. But you'd be ignorant to sit there and think, oh, well, we won 8 this year. What's stopping us from winning 10 next year? You know, like, this is not the year to raise your bar. It would have been like raising the bar in basketball this year. Oh, well, we won the Big 12 last year. Could we win another one and go to the Sweet 16 this year? No, you've lost too much. So that's where I'm at.
If the making some noise threshold is being in the top 25, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think they should probably get votes preseason for that.
They're going to start crazy hot, guys. They could be 5-1 to start the year, 6-0 maybe even, honestly. They have the easiest start to any schedule potentially in college football.
That's great. That's great. And
they might very well lose 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, but at least they'll be playing those teams when they've kind of gathered themselves. The offensive line has a better identity.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really a good way to have a season stack up for a team like this.
From I Like Pickles Cat, am I the only one having to convince myself that the 2020 football season won't be as good as I think? I am usually a guy that expects the worst and hopes for the best, yet I can't convince myself that we will win less than 8 games next year.
I think you need to look at the games like TCU and Texas Tech. Yes, they won those games. They made the plays. They deserve to win. But had TCU not allowed a gaping hole for Skylar Thompson to gallop 68 yards or whatever he went on that play, they might not win that game. If Texas Tech doesn't let Josh Youngblood return another kick, they might, we can play this game all day, I know.
Yeah, but then you can play Texas and Navy.
Right, exactly. So,
Baylor. Not Baylor. West Virginia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and I wasn't trying to say they didn't deserve to win those games. I'm just saying they were as close to losing them as they were to winning those games. Right. Those are very toss-up games, and now you get TCU in Fort Worth, and you get Baylor in Waco. So, I mean, it's just there are some games that I think could easily bounce the other way, and while K-State made the plays to win them this year and deserve to win those games, that might not be the case next year.
It's going to be fascinating. I would caution you, though. I mean, 8 wins is not an easy accomplishment. And they will be kind of retooling the offensive line. They will be retooling the offensive line.
Kind of.
So, I mean, that's an important part of this whole system.
But this year showed us, I mean, look, if we get to August next year and we say 6-6 or we say 7-5, this year showed us that we could see K-State do even better than that. I mean, low expectations could be exceeded.
I don't know. I'm going 15-0.
I'm not. I am not. I want to go on the record. I'm not predicting K-State to make the college football playoff.
I'm predicting they'll win. You hater.
Did you hear what Riley Gates said on the podcast this week? He hates Chris Kleiman.
Man, Fitz is just rah-rah.
I am not rah-rah. Next question.
From Power Cat Ryan, which former K-Stater sees the most action in the Super Bowl? Will one of the 3 make a significant play? And when will the champion or champions be recognized in MHK?
I have a hard time seeing any of them making a significant play unless Byron recovered a fumble on a kickoff. He hasn't been on the offense in weeks, I don't think.
Now that they're healthy receivers, not seeing much.
So he's not on the field as a receiver, but he is on kickoff coverage. I mean, if the ball got knocked loose, maybe. Full disclosure, I haven't watched the 49ers close enough. But I don't think I know Elijah Lee's not playing that much. I know that. He did get a couple tackles, but not that much. And I don't think DJ Reed's returning kicks anymore.
Nope, he's not.
So, look, none of them are going to play that much. As much as I'm going to build it up this week, because it's really cool, honestly.
Cool. It's really cool.
The most teams in the Big 12, you've got 3 from one team. I mean, 3 from K-State, 2 of them are on one team. It's a really cool storyline, and it doesn't take. I mean, they're all on the 53-man roster. They're not practice squad players. It's really cool, but at the end of the day, they are like 47 on the 53-man.
Well, wouldn't they be inactive? You can only have 44, right?
Ugh.
God, you're a liar.
Forgot about that one.
Come on, man.
Such a liar. They don't play much. It's hard. And I like Riley. I don't follow the 49ers enough. I know DJ plays more than Elijah. I would, if pressed to answer, I'd say DJ Reed will make the most significant play of the 3.
I wonder if they will recognize the champion or the champions.
I'm sure.
They're running out of time is the thing. I mean, they'll say they win the Super Bowl. They take a week for whatever. They probably get a week for vacation. Home games aren't all that plentiful left.
It's true.
You could do it at a women's basketball game and raise the attendance.
I feel like there's always a wide receiver or something late in the game that makes some stupid play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty common.
That's like 5 or 6 on the depth chart. Like I could see Byron, catching a football off his helmet and winning the Super Bowl.
Byron Pringle is David Tyree? What?
I couldn't even tell you who he was. Just that Eli Manning threw it.
I mean, look, it wouldn't be absurd to say that Byron Pringle gets in and makes a catch. It's just not likely to happen with the way they've been playing.
I think Byron, of the three, I'll say this. I think Byron's got the biggest future. I think he's going to move into a more significant role for the Chiefs next year. They love him. They just are so stacked at receiver. The fact they kept him amongst all these great players says what they think of Byron Pringle. I think he's going to. I think personally he's going to move into the Sammy Watkins role next year when they let him go, just for money.
From CW Power Cat, that's a new one. I don't think I've ever said that in my life.
Maybe I should have marked that.
Maybe I should have marked it, but welcome. How optimistic are you about this upcoming baseball season?
I am, mostly because I'm not a big baseball guy, and I sometimes need to explain this. We don't tell you what you should watch. We kind of follow you around. So if baseball starts winning and the crowd starts showing up and there's fan interest, we'll be there. We're not going to cover baseball as of now. But my buddy Matt Walters on the Insiders podcast is incredibly optimistic about this team. Coach has rebuilt the roster. The new facility is incredible. I mean, the locker room. If you haven't seen the locker room video, go to K-State Athletics and go check that out.
At the very least, go to a game and see the new stadium.
Yeah. I don't want to, take the air out of it, but there's still a field that has a baseball shape. I mean, it's not like there's neon and roller coasters. It's the baseball field. It's a diamond with
4 bags.
But there's a video board now.
There's a video board. That's nice. That really ups the ante for athletics. Now you got a video staff at every baseball game.
Well, they got enough kids working for K-State HD. I think they can find somebody to get in there and do it.
I'm hopeful that it becomes entertaining because when the weather does warm up, I hate college baseball when it starts.
I was like, what?
I hate college baseball when it starts because it's such a disadvantage for these colder weather teams. I wish they'd back it up and be a summer sport. Summer sport. Almost every college athlete is in summer school, so baseball players do play these stupid summer leagues. The only reason the summer leagues exist is because they're free. They're not playing college baseball. Play college baseball in the summer. But when it warms up, I hope people do show up. I hope this team is competitive. Because the year they won the Big 12 and went to the...
that was fun.
Went to the, what is it? The Super Regional?
They went to Oregon State.
That was fun, man. That was cool. When you got a good baseball team, that's a fun sport. If they're bad, it's just miserable.
Yeah. And it's like, I remember freshman year, obviously I did some for the Collegian, but we went to some games just as fans too. And I don't know, if you live in Manhattan, it's a Tuesday afternoon and the baseball team plays at 3. It's like, yeah, why not? You can get out there and watch them.
It's fun for me because
but not if they're getting beat 20-0.
Our house isn't far from the stadium. It's about a half mile, maybe not even that from baseball. So on a nice spring day when I'm outside, maybe we're piddling around the yard, I can hear the crowd roar. Kind of fun.
Nice.
I'm hopeful. I hope they're good enough for us to start staffing games again because it's just not a good use of our resources and manpower to do that if they're... Nobody wants to read about losses, whether it's football or basketball. We have the analytics to back that up. So when it's one of many baseball games and another loss, it's just not worth covering.
From KSU number 1, how does Kobe passing affect you?
Thing was wild. I almost said something else.
You guys are more of that generation, a little bit.
Yeah.
When did Kobe retire?
16.
Yeah.
So that's right in your wheelhouse. I mean, I'm from the Bird, Magic, and then Jordan eras more. I didn't watch Kobe a lot. I didn't watch the NBA a lot. Let's maybe say that. I did watch Kobe highlights and greatly appreciated him as not just a player, but how He made himself a player. I don't know.
I described it like this. Kobe might not be the best basketball player to ever play. He might not be the second best basketball player to ever play. But Kobe was our MJ.
Yeah, he was our generation.
He was our generation's Michael Jordan. And you can't say that it was LeBron James, because it wasn't. This was our MJ. He won his first championship when I would have been 4 or 5. Zach would have been 7, 8, whatever, how much older you are than me. Right at that age where you're starting to watch sports. You're starting to get into it. And he hung around there, and then as you get older, I'm a teenager, he wins it again, and he really takes over Los Angeles. And that's what really gets you. I hated the Lakers. God, I still hate the Lakers. And I did not like Kobe Bryant. I didn't cheer for him. But why didn't I like him? Because he was dominant, and that wasn't my guy. He was the most dominant player in the sport. Or, arguably, whatever. And to see his career, start to finish, basically, and then to know what else is going to come after that, that's what really gets you. That's what kind of changes things. And it hits you because, I hate playing this game I'm about to play. Hypothetically, let's just say it had been Michael Jordan who was in an accident like this. It would have shocked the world. It would have shaken it. But for people my age, I don't think it would have impacted them as much because of the reasons I said. They know who Michael was. They didn't watch Michael.
Yeah.
We watched Kobe. I gathered with a bunch of friends in the dorms the night of Kobe's final game, and we watched it. Man, you sat down and watched an NBA game from start to finish of a team that was going to get potentially the number 1 pick in the NBA draft the next year. It's crazy.
And he dropped 60.
He dropped 60 points in one game.
Did you see Mike Tirico talking about Gordon Hayward? How he stepped into the lane? I had no clue.
I didn't know that was a thing either.
It's remarkable.
It's amazing.
And even after I was watching without the volume, so I didn't quite catch what was going on. I'm like, that idiot stepped in the lane. I'm like, oh, I see what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's making sure he gets to shoot the free throw again. He would have done it 4 times if needed. Now with Kobe, he just made it.
I don't want if he'd have missed it and they would have blown lane violation. I wonder if Kobe would have taken the shot.
Oh, he would have.
He strikes me as a guy that might not have done it. No, I didn't earn it.
No, he'd have to. There's no deferring.
Well, then he misses the shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Gordon Hayward would do it for all night.
It's impactful. Like I said, he was that athlete. Liked him or hated him, loved him or despised him. He was Kobe. He's one of the most transformational athletes, easily a top 10 in the history of sports, and will never fall out of that category. And it shakes you because he wasn't 80 with a brain disease, or he didn't have cancer and you could see it coming.
I mean, back to what you said about Michael Jordan. If it happened to Michael Jordan today, so much time has passed since he played that it's not, I don't want to say not real. It doesn't feel as significant.
Michael's time has come and passed.
Kobe, I went to his second to last game. I drove down to Oklahoma City to make sure I got to see him at least once. And he was hurt. He was crippled. And he still went out and put, I don't know how many minutes he put out. He put up 10 points, or he put up double digits, I'm certain.
Yeah.
But, it was all, Kobe chants all night. Like, it's the other team. Like, it's just.
It's weird.
It hits hard for our generation, I think, because, you would watch SportsCenter every morning before you went to elementary school, middle school. Kobe was always on. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, you'd talk about Kobe making 81 points. Like, it's just.
No matter what LeBron does for the rest of his career, even if he wins 4 more championships, it doesn't feel like he's going to be a more memorable player than Kobe. Like,
because he didn't stay with the Lakers.
He didn't do something.
Stay with one team.
Kobe just changed the game, it felt like.
And Kobe was the Lakers.
Yeah. That just.
When Prince died, that hit me hard because that was right from my wheelhouse of college. And I remember reading a tweet from someone that said, I'm really affected by this, and I didn't even really listen to Prince music. Now we found out it was an overdose, and that kind of changes the context of things. And, I'm not saying I'm not feel badly they died, but that's your own doing. Mm-hmm. This really affected me. And like I said, I'm never really watched Kobe, and I think this is why. I think this overlaps to what you were saying. He was such a transformational figure in the game of basketball. He was so iconic for a generation. He was clearly one of the greatest players of all time. And we watched him go through an allegation of rape that could have defined him. And after that, that's still part of him. That is still a flaw he will wear forever, but he redefined himself from that point on. I don't remember Kobe for that, and shame on you if that's all you can remember of Kobe Bryant, because the mistakes a person makes is not the full definition of who they are. You have to take everything into consideration. And he became a hellacious father, just amazing father. He loved being a father as much as he loved playing basketball. What's that say about a guy? I'm retired. I'm not sitting around thinking I want to get back in the game. I want to make my comeback. I want to get back in the limelight. I want to go trade to play baseball. It's about me, me, me. No, Kobe became about his girls, his family. He died taking his girl and friends to a youth basketball game. He became about that. I think it really strikes me, not because Kobe Bryant, the basketball player, died, but Kobe Bryant, the role model father, died with a daughter that he was so proud of. It's a horrible thing. Let's not forget that there was 9 total people on that helicopter. Let's not sit around and go, they should have been flying in the fog. Let's not do that. Let's just cherish the memories we have of them and honor those who died. It's a tragedy that hit home and really took the wind out of all of us. 41 years old, 13 years old. Man. And I'll say this, Kobe had his moment in the sun, but I'm really sad for the girls. They didn't have a chance to have their moment.
Next question's from WTDD 2001. Who would you guys consider the greatest Laker, Magic or Kobe?
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. We spend so much time Kobe or MJ or LeBron. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just not.
I only put the question in. It's not fair for me and Zach to answer it because we didn't see unfair. Magic. We can look at the numbers. We can watch the highlights. It's not the same. Okay, it's just not the same. I put the question in here because I wanted to just go ahead and put this out there. LeBron passed Kobe for the all-time, the scoring list or whatever on Saturday night, which prompted some people to say that LeBron is the greatest Laker of all time because people think that LeBron's the greatest player of all time, therefore he's a Laker, therefore, et cetera, et cetera. I don't care if LeBron wins a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers every year for the rest of his career. He will never be a better Laker than Kobe Bryant. Stop it. He's not. Even if he was a better Laker than Kobe Bryant, I can list 5 other Lakers that I can probably make a case are better Lakers than LeBron James.
It's like arguing that Lou Alcindor / Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest Milwaukee Buck of all time. It's just a team he played for. I would say that you can't do this because the game evolves. This is so hard to do because the game now is one thing. When Magic played, it was another thing. It was a physical, it was a war. He was really special at what he did. If you want to press an answer, Kobe's the better all-around player because he really has changed everything. Magic had Kareem, who was the argument for me was Kareem better than Kobe because he defined his generation. He's the guy who changed the game to be about him and his style. Kobe changed the game to be about him and his style. That's right. Kobe is just... he altered the way the game at that level is played, period.
If you want to make your LeBron over Kobe argument for overall player, fine, you can make your case. I'm not going to I'm not saying that one person's going to be right or wrong, but if you talk about the greatest Laker, it's not going to be LeBron. If you put on a Knicks jersey tomorrow and won 3 championships, he's not the greatest Knick of all time.
And I'd say Shaq was a better Laker than LeBron.
I mean, come on, like really.
And I'd say LeBron was a better Cav than Shaq. Like,
I think what I admire about Kobe
there.
is, and again, maybe this is a difference in generations. He said, "This is my place, my team. We're going to be bad this year. We're going to be good this year. It's still mine. I still own this. This is my place." And that's probably why L.A. was hit so hard by it. I mean, the video of Kobe walking around at the car accident 2 weeks before he passed away trying to help people, he was them. He was part of them. And anyone who vagabonds around a league and, plays here and plays there and plays there, oh, you want to pay me more? I'll go there. That defines you to me as much as anything. If LeBron had played in Cleveland and then went to L.A., maybe. But the thing to Miami always will bother me about LeBron. I'm going to go to Miami and put together a stud team so I can win. So I can get a ring. So I can accomplish something. And then I'm going to go over here because maybe then I can win something else. Kobe was always about so the Lakers can do something. And that's kind of what I like about him. I mean, this is my team. This is where I'm staying. I'm a Laker. What can we do as a franchise? That's pretty much how you define a great player.
Last question of the podcast from I Like Pickles Cat. What are the greatest sports nicknames of all time besides Mamba?
I was struggling to come up with some when I thought about it, and then I looked at a list online. I forgot how many legit ones there are. King James, I mean, honestly.
It's pretty good.
King, that's never going to be done again. Revis Island. The Fridge.
Fridge is pretty good.
Fridge is one of the elite ones out there. Megatron.
That's lazy.
You don't like Megatron?
No, that's lazy.
I never have.
Oh, interesting. I love that one.
It's like naming someone else Darth Vader. Like, just you're picking a movie character.
True.
That's fair. Do you consider Tiger a nickname? He's always been known as Tiger. His name's never been Eldrick.
Technically, his name is Eldrick, and Tiger would be a nickname, but his name is Tiger.
But it's not like when he was 4 playing golf, they were like, that's Eldrick Woods. And he's always been Tiger. So I don't know if it's a nickname.
I wouldn't call it a nickname.
Beast Mode?
Lazy.
Johnny Football?
Lazy.
Take your bias out of it. That's a good nickname.
That's okay.
I loved it. Trash one? Jesus Shuttlesworth for Ray Allen. I don't know that many people that called him that.
Wasn't that his character in a movie?
Something like that.
Okay.
Big Poppy.
That's
Big Poppy's
that's
an elite one. And then this the last one on the list is the Mailman for Karl Malone.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one.
So those are some of the ones that I found on there and that I really like. Oh, the great one, Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, that's pretty good because he was.
He was the great one as far as a quality nickname.
But I kind of like the ones.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, I never knew Kobe as Mamba. I mean, I remember Mamba was. I didn't realize Mamba was kind of a thing post allegations.
Not to speak ill of the dead, but Kobe Bryant gave himself a nickname.
Exactly.
It stuck. And I got to give it to him. He picked his own nickname, and it stuck. But at the end of the day, he picked his own nickname. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I think there's some good ones out there.
I want to be the Python.
No.
Because I will strike at any moment. Wow. That's it for the podcast. Hope we didn't end you up on a bummer there, but God bless all of those that died in the helicopter crash. And I know other things that happened in the world lately that might get put in the shadow of this Kobe Bryant incident. It's a scar. It's going to take a while to heal up. And I really feel for all of you. I tweeted this, that we're legitimately Kobe fans because this has got to hit home because it certainly does for me. K-State basketball. Big game Wednesday night. Get into Bramlage. when you consider the fact that they have to go to West Virginia on Saturday and then turn around and play Baylor on Mini Monday in Bramlage, this game is huge. They were better than Oklahoma for most of the game last time in Norman. They need to win this, and they need the fans. And what the hell? Play Sandstorm. Just do it.
You've been listening to the Power Cat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. Power Cat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.